today's PD Institute on accessible online tools for contextualizing learning. Our focus today will be on infrastructure, and we are so blessed that Megan Farrell facilitating today's session, and we are also so blessed to have you to join us. I hope that you have a wonderful PD Institute experience and that you find some worthwhile resources you can use in your own agency and or resources that you can share with your partners. Dr. Bruce, would you like to add?
Yes, just wanted to say good morning, and I'm very excited for you as well because for those of you who have not already been on any of the sessions and you're joining for the first time, I know you will be so well pleased with the wealth of information and the real life experiences, the real world experiences that you can draw from this well-renowned trainer that we bring to you today. So with that, go ahead and let the wonders be revealed to you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Bruce and Michelle and Stacy. Um, I am truly blessed to work with such a great team on this. Thank you so much. And I'm really excited to see so many familiar names, folks who have been here earlier in the week. I know it's Wednesday, which means it's time for us to switch it up a little bit. So I've gone in and if you have gone already to the blog.mustseed.org, what I posted there earlier in the week, I have switched up a couple of the slides on you just to keep it fresh, so that we can keep ourselves awake and mentally active as we continue to explore some of the ways we can contextualize instruction. So, and I do see, one or two new names already. So a little bit on me. My name is Megan Farrell. I did come in person to do PD at DC about 5 years ago. So I and have had many friends and family who have worked in the city. So I have been had the even though I'm here in Ohio, I've had the joy of having some contact with several of your programs already, and this session or these sessions, plural, have been really wonderful to get to know you more deeply. And so I really hope to continue to facilitate not only sharing with you some things that we've developed here in Ohio that could be useful for you, but also to have that facilitation, have some chances for you to chat with each other. So if you go to blog.mustseed.org, it's been updated every day, morning and evening, with whatever the most recent topic is we'll be talking about. So in the upper left hand is the most recent post, and uh-oh, infrastructure disappeared on me. Oh, there it is. I just needed to refresh. So there we go. Infrastructure just posted this morning. And so you can get the slides there. And then we also have a document that we're using for all of our sessions containing a sample lesson plan for each of our industries that we'll be talking about this week. So you can follow along from there, or if you like, you can just watch on the screen for now and go back later and access those with the links. And of course, we've already given our thanks to OC and UDC for hosting this session, and we'll highlight a little bit later some of the resources they have to offer. I hope many of you are taking advantage of it, and so you'll also have a chance to talk a little bit about, share with others if you've been implementing those already. But our big question for Wednesday, September 29th, is how can teaching science or teaching trades save the planet? So we're talking about infrastructure, but we're also particularly talking about some key industries in the transformation of our energy economy. So, and you don't have to write a whole essay on it, but if you want to put in chat or feel free to take off mute if you like and give us maybe a few words or a sentence about how can your teaching save the planet? How does it impact our larger systems? And today I'm gonna switch to singing some Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. So as you're thinking, do 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 do. We're thinking, how can teaching save the planet, the planet? Oh, we're typing.
Okay, now this video, when we post it, is going to go viral.
Well, only if somebody answers my question. Maybe I need to be sending coffee packets out to each of you in the morning, or tea. I know we have some tea drinkers out there. All right. Well, if you're continuing to type, feel free to do so. But one of the big ways is as we're helping folks transition to some folks are just entering infrastructure for the first time and taking advantage of some of these green jobs that are brand new in our economy. Other folks are going to be having to transition to new ways of doing things, especially in areas like transportation, right, where we're moving from gasoline driven. We've been transitioning through hybrid, and now we're going to battery based, electricity based. So for our folks who are doing maintenance of those machines, for our folks who are doing the driving of those machines, it's going to be a new experience for them. So even the things we're training them on now, they may change in the next 5, 10, 15 years. And that's going to make a big difference on the whole planet. So thank you for your important work. Not only transforming lives, not only bringing individuals and family out of poverty, not only improving the communities in which they live, but improving the air that we all breathe together. So my hope for today's session is that you will come out of here with at least one, hopefully a handful of resources that you can use right away in your lesson planning, and also some strategies to think about different ways that you can even use some of the resources you're already using. So we're going to go through a sample lesson plan from integrating science into a more general kind of infrastructure. So this will be a lesson that you can use with a variety of different specific jobs that you may be training for. And then we're going to end with a laundry list of different learning tools that you can use that are available to you specifically in DC. And also at that time, I'll be asking you to chime in a little bit on what you're using or how you're using it. That's been really helpful in our previous sessions to hear from other providers about how they're implementing a lot of these wonderful tools. So if you've been here before, you know, I'm going to tell you to take out your pen or pencil because it's not so important what I say. You can get my slides later, but what you're going to want to remember tomorrow or next week or next month is what stood out to you today, knowing your students and knowing your jobs that you're preparing folks for. So we have a lot of folks who've been in our sessions earlier this week. So if you want to pop on chat, this is actually a little multiple choice, quick check. We've talked a lot about defining contextualized learning. So does it mean A, hands-on learning? Does it mean B, content from a specific context? Does it mean C, real-world vocabulary? Or does it mean D, understanding words in context? A, B, D, or C, or D? A, B, C, D, or all of the above? David says all of them. Anyone
And
else?
not just because of the song.
And not just because of the song. Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. This is actually things that you have pulled throughout the week, definitions of contextualized learning. So you are all right. The instructors are all right. Now, if I were to pick just one, I would say B. Just in that if this is kind of a series of circles, not even a Venn diagram, I think the content from a specific context can include all of the other ones within it. So it's kind of a trick question, but all of it is right. So our contextualized lesson plan template is in our document here that you can find at blog.musc.org. And the template, there's two versions of the template, one with notes on page 7. And once you've downloaded it as a PDF, you can just click within the table of contents and get to the page that you like. So this has some notes on just some suggestions of what you can fill in through the template, but then there's another version that's just totally blank, and we'll make sure to get that to you as a Word document as well. And we were actually just having a conversation about how throughout the year we can follow up on some of these sessions because providers have been offering so many wonderful ways that you're already implementing this, and we want to create a way that you can share some of those lessons with each other. So hopefully we'll be able to really dive into this lesson plan template to look at, different objectives, and then how do we work our activities to align with those industry and academic standards. So if we're already doing wonderful things, why not just share? And today's lesson plan, I'm going to go back to the table of contents on infrastructure, is focused on what is energy? What does this mean? So the template, I'm not going to go word by word for this, but what we tried to do with this contextualized curriculum, it's a whole, I worked with folks up here in Northeast Ohio to develop a whole series of lessons in each of 5 industries. And we worked through this template just to make sure that different types of activities were covered, make sure we add differentiation, make sure that we have contextualization in every single lesson, that everything is connected to an industry in some way. So, you don't have to go line by line and use every single one of these sections in your lesson planning for sure, but it's a good framework. If you do want to download more than just a lesson we'll be looking through today, you can access that at the Literacy Cooperative's website, and it is a free registration. You will get a survey once a year asking if you've used it, how you've used it, if there's anything you would like to see improved. We have been able to update this at least once so far, thanks to the piloting of this in specific programs. So we will be actually pulling a lesson from the manufacturing curriculum today, which has been adapted a little bit to focus on more broadly than just new energy manufacturing, but kind of infrastructure in general. And the manufacturing was developed for a community college program that had a pre-manufacturing feeder program. So these lesson plans were designed specifically with the GED test in mind, so that they are both preparing for the GED test and preparing for these industries at the same exact time. So our topic for today will be conservation, transformation, and flow of energy. Every single lesson plan as well incorporates 3 key strategies that, especially with the new Common Core State Standards, the new WIOA kind of integration of workforce and adult basic ed together, really we hope to bring out in every single lesson. So I know several of you have already seen this, so we're going to think through how to remember this. And I already started singing a little bit of the song, but we're going to switch it up as CID. All right. It's easy as 1, 2, 3. We're interdisciplinary, contextualize, differentiate, baby, you and me, girl. All right, so we're going to do our contextualize, interdisciplinary, and differentiate. Today, we're going to focus on how to differentiate using assessment. So to walk through this a little bit in the session, I kind of, before I dive into the specifics of the sample lesson, I want to kind of give you a big picture of what we're trying to do that connects, what's the string that connects these parts together. So we can start by using industry information, start with some contextualized practice or question scenarios so that they understand how these tools or whatever strategies, vocabulary, et cetera, that you're introducing will be used in their industries. One way we can think about this too is as we're flexing, if we are doing group work, you want to think about as you're doing your lesson planning, kind of always having 2 ways right now that you can, and probably continuing on into the future, how you can do interactive guided practice both in person or in Zoom. And then you're doing your formative assessment. This could be a quick check. This could be an exit ticket, a little quiz, or you can be looking at some of your reports you're getting from CASAS or practice tests for other certification exams, and then using that information to decide then how you do your group work. So that way, it's kind of feeding into a circle until folks get to that mastery learning level. All right. So again, to switch it up a little bit, instead of going line by line through the PDF version of this lesson, I wanted to kind of just give you the headings and then see if folks have specific requests of which activity you would like to see first. So our introduction is, can we run out of energy? Our contextualization has a few resources for different career exploration in this new green economy. Direct instruction talks through types of energy. Our guided practice gives them an activity to identify it. The exploration activity dives deeper into both industry and the GED science test content, looking at the home energy scores. I'm not calling that the right thing. Yeah, no, it's the home energy score. Conduction and convection. We have some personalized learning using virtual job shadow. And then we have our optional energy quizzes and regenerative braking. See? All right, so anybody have any chat? If you want to get off mute, you can. Which activity would you really like to dive into first? We can go line by line if you like. Start with the introduction to see the overview, but if you have something you would really like to dive into, we can kind of skip around if you'd like.
Hi, Megan. I'm not sure if it's just my screen, but I see like a large gray square on the right side. I'm not able to see.
Oh, I see. Got it. Thank you. Okay, I think what's happening there is I was trying to pull up chat on the side of my screen, and I need to Is that better? Can you see it now?
So much better. Yeah, thank you, Megan.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much for that feedback. I really appreciate it. All right, so now you can actually see what you're supposed to be responding to.
So in that case, Megan, we can actually ask individuals to unmute themselves to give their response, or the
Absolutely.
Adult and Family Education team can help monitor the chat and call out responses.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Thank you so much.
But for if you wish, you really can unmute yourself and give your response that way as well. We're a size group where we can really manage that, and we'll enjoy that interaction as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to hear from you all.
Hi, Megan. This is Aima.
Hi.
I would be interested in Can We Run Out of Energy, as well as virtual job shadow.
Awesome. All right. I'll do those two first, and then any other requests. Don't be shy. All right. I'm going to go through those two first, and then we'll continue our tour. All right. So our introduction of what is energy. When this was presented as an in-person curriculum, you'd kind of stick it up on the whiteboard, or there are some classrooms where I'm still using chalkboards, but you have your question that is up there every time folks walk in the door, so you can kind of start that discussion. Or if you're doing it on a Zoom or Microsoft Teams or something like that, you would project this as kind of your first slide to generate some discussion. And then as they discuss, can we ever run out of energy? I mean, some folks will really have opinions about this, and they may interpret it in different ways. Maybe they're thinking about it as, personal energy. And as a person, can I run out of energy? Yes, we need fuel too, right? And then how can we as a society continue our consumption at our current level? If we continue with our current resources, we are going to run out. So this is a great chance as they kind of debate this a little bit to introduce the concepts of renewable energy and non-renewable energy, because as we get into various types of infrastructure, they're going to see these words thrown about. And then, of course, there's different examples. So if you like, you can also, I know some folks have developed slideshows around this where they're showing examples of different kind of renewable versus non-renewable energy. And another aspect of what we're going to talk about in the lesson that you can kind of, as the discussion flows, you can kind of guide them to thinking about, are there ways we waste energy? If we know that we're going to run out sooner or later using our current sources, are there ways that we can conserve energy, that we can save energy and not waste it? Not only to help the planet, right, but also to help ourselves and not be spending as much money on utilities and those sort of things. And the companies we work for will be thinking about that as well. All right, so that's our intro. And our personalized learning looks at virtual job shadow, which is over here. So they do have a whole ton of tools, and I think we can start with a general job and college search. Kind of earlier in the lesson, we introduce some of the specific jobs that are starting to be developed or are growing around some of these green energy issues, especially when it comes to things like installation of solar panels, for example, or maintenance of electric vehicles. These are jobs that are going to just explode in the next decade or so. So you may have some specific jobs they can use for a search, but also if they are a little more So if you are tailored to a specific job that you're growing, you can use that search to find the content in Virtual Job Shadow, but you can also use their career assessments. So if you're doing kind of a more general a high school equivalency class or um, and Teresa's commenting, I saw that pop up that you love Virtual Job Shadow. Wonderful. And feel free after I do a little intro to tell us a little bit about how you're using it. I would love to hear that. But another way you can use the system is to give students individual access and then they can go in and take some career interest surveys that will then match them to specific careers. So you can start with the student and then get to the specific job, or you can start with the jobs and then give students maybe specific tasks about, okay, what's going to be the biggest salary, what has the biggest growth, those sort of things. So I don't know, Teresa, if you feel comfortable taking yourself off mute and telling us a little bit about how you use Virtual Job Shadow in your work.
Well, I didn't want to type in too much because I was going to say, I'm so glad when the other person asked you to do this one. That's why I didn't say it, because this is the one I wanted. And I'm glad to be able to learn more. And I teach a career academy class. So this goes right in line with a lot of what we're teaching. So I'll have them go in and just view the videos where a person talks about, like, I really work in this field, and they can do a lot of self-directed work there. But I also, it's a lot. And so I'm like, I already have a curriculum that's bigger than the class.
Yes.
I haven't had time to really explore it the way I wanted to, but what I have seen is great.
Yes. Yeah, and so what we have this personalized learning built into each of our lesson plans, and what I would recommend there too is some folks who have I as a teacher have always been in your situation, Teresa, where I didn't have enough time to cover everything that we wanted to cover, but I know a lot of folks may have, some folks have folks for 3 hours, some people have them all day. So they really want to break it up. You don't want to be doing group work that whole time. So this personalized learning, they may be able to give people, okay, you're going to hop on, everybody's going to work on something on Virtual Job Shadow. And you can be exactly what you said, self-directed. But another way that a lot of folks have used this tool is as I guess you want to call it homework, but in a lot of states, and I believe DC is one of them, it actually, because it tracks their time in system, it does count as class time or instructional time. So you can actually extend the time of your class by saying, all right, everybody, find an hour, find 30 minutes each day between now and the next class, and maybe give them something specific. I mean, some folks are really self-directed.
But
and
you can assign it to, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing. It was before the pandemic where we used it a lot in class. And I remember, I think I would go in and it's very easy to figure it out. I'm just saying this for people who may not have used it.
Yes, absolutely.
And then you go in and you can just assign them, or I want them to work on this, communication, whatever is in there. And then they liked it. They would work on it independently in class, but just self-directed.
Yes. Yeah, and you can do it both ways. So this is a great tool for that kind of hybrid, right? Where we don't know from one day to the next sometimes if we're going to be in person or distance. So this lesson builder tool, when you go in from your teacher side, your teacher account, you do have the ability to assign lessons or assessments and other things to quizzes to either a single student if you want to really, nail down, or you can do it to a whole group of your class, and you can organize people into classes. So Yeah, and Stacy is confirming that Virtual Job Shadow does collect that time on task and generate reports. So I have seen in the past with some of these tools, when I worked for Essential Education, they have a similar sort of system where you do self-paced learning and you can um, get reports on it. And specifically, it'll gather, are you in class or out of class? And so we actually did some studies with local providers where they would introduce it in class and sometimes give them time to do it to make sure they were comfortable with using the system. And then once they were, they would do exactly what we're talking about, assign them specific lessons or give them, okay, work on social studies for half an hour, and then next class we'll talk about some of those social studies tasks you did. And they were able to increase their time on task for their students by a third. So, if they had, um, let's say, I think that the one class had like 6 hours of class throughout the course of the week, and then on average, students were adding another 2 hours of work at home by being able to access some of these personalized learning tools. So uh, it really is an awesome thing. So cool. So Virtual Job Shadow. Anybody else want to hop on, by the way? And if you have been using Virtual Job Shadow, want to share some tips or questions, suggestions you have?
This is Aima again. I'm part of DCHR, and we have the Career Pathways program. And we have recently been working on a career mapping website. So we've been kind of exploring other similar sites that will let you kind of take quizzes and identify like where your strong suits are, or what professions you may want to work and what that looks like, what the salary ranges are, kind of helpful information. So this is really good. I haven't dived into this site yet, so I'd be definitely curious to know, like, is there like a cost associated with this? Is this like you get a license to be able to, do this for so many students, or how does that work as well?
Yeah. So, well, Stacy is sharing in chat that, oops, and that I think I just created your your gray box again. So she's mentioning the DC distance education policy. So this is one Virtual Job Shadow is just one of those that are listed as software that are approved for distance learning hours. So that's one resource for you when looking at how to build out some of these tools. But specifically, how you create account is first, I'm going to jump ahead and just show you Aussie's resource page. There we go. So on their resource page, if you scroll down beyond the box, it has these tools, and Virtual Job Shadow is one of them that DC Aussie has AFE has already purchased and from those providers, and then you as an organization can, to get access, would email this this address that I'm going to copy and stick in chat right now. Sorry for the gray box. Okay, and so after you do that, that will give you an administrative account. And then you can choose. Some organizations have one administrator. Others give that administrative task to each individual teacher to create for their students. But those administrator teacher level accounts will then be able to create the student level account and organize those students into classes. And then those students that are assigned to you as a teacher, or classes that are assigned to you, you'll then be able to see their reports on it. And some of them are very drilled down. You can see exactly what videos they watch, what quizzes they completed, what their scores were, what days they were on and how long. And there's some chat going on there about some of the follow-up here. And the other thing I wanted to share as we go they showed me how to get to some of the previous professional development that I think would be useful specifically about this because, I wish I had time to do a deeper dive into each of these, but let's see. If we go to the home and we go to topics, adult education, this is my own assessment. They're getting to see if I've remembered the things they've taught me. AFE is under adult education and training. And then
Yep, that's right.
and you say you're an instructor. Yes, points for me. So if you scroll down, and by the way, look, you have a scholarship you can apply to if you didn't know about that. So, but down below that information, which you should read in depth, there's a whole professional development section. And so down here, you can get to, there's, several different career pathways, etc. But they have one specifically around, here we go, virtual job shadow. There's a whole hour-long webinar just on virtual job shadow. There's one on essential education's 5 tools that they have available. The DC One Shop operator, which I assume is connected to the DC Works website. Career Coach DC, which is another one, another activity in the sample lesson is to use the to look at specific jobs on Career Coach DC, which offers your median salary, right at home. Yeah. Yeah, they just have some fantastic resources.
Which page is that?
Yeah. So this is, I'm going to put the link to exactly this page. And again, my apologies for the gray box. There you go. So this is the adult education instructors page on the OSSI website. And if you want to click right to the section that we're on, you click professional development right here. And that'll take you down to all of these webinars that have been previously given. And if you scroll all the way down to summer 2020, this is where it does a deeper dive into each of these tools from the folks who actually made them. So that's great. All right, awesome. I love where this discussion has been going. And I'm going to head back to our template. Is there any other sections? I can go back into another section of the sample lesson plan if you like, or I can move ahead to some of our highlighted resources and programs. So if you want to see another section of the template or of the sample lesson, feel free to pop on now and let me know. Hey, hey, what do you want to learn today?
Can we learn the optional energy quiz?
Awesome, yeah. All right. So this is at a link called ProProfs. There we go. And it covers specifically kinetic and potential energy. So this topic would have been covered already through direct instruction and the guided instruction sections. So I'll just show you that real quick. This activity 1, identifying types of energy, is where you kind of introduce some of the types of energy. And these are, especially potential and kinetic, are kind of what's difficult, especially on the GD test, is it's mostly a skills-based test. So you can, for the most part, kind of figure out things in context. But knowing what potential versus kinetic energy is pretty important, especially for the kind of jobs they're going to do. So there's some intro, link for some intro content, and then some suggestions for actual physical things you can either bring in or show or have pictures of to introduce what the different types of activity of different types of energy are. And then, once you've already introduced that and you've practiced, then there's this optional energy unit quiz.
Thank you. Could you drop this in the chat as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Another resource I would give for a lot of these kind of quizzes, and this is one of those kind of optional paid, but was used a lot by our folks here in Cleveland. And I don't think this is necessarily I'm not sure if it's on your list, so maybe I shouldn't. But there's some good kind of GD science content here on study.com. They have an entire GD study guide. And then the other resource, pbslearningmedia.org. Okay, so I love PBS Learning Media for some of their real world content. So they have all of your life sciences, social studies, math, but then they also have, for example, careers in engineering and technology, which is really applicable. And I know some of you are also doing healthcare. There's professional development for instructors as well. So if we go into our careers, they have lots of videos, but whenever they have a video, it's also aligned to what I really, really love about it is all of their resources have this share to Google Classroom. So if you are somebody who's already using Google Classroom for your assignments and your classes, it's just like a one click. PBS Learning Media has these links, and then Khan Academy is another one. You can just share right away to Google Classroom. And they have videos, they have also quizzes and handouts, etc., etc. All right, awesome. All right, so optional energy quizzes. Any other, I think for the sake of time, unless, feel free to, if you really want to do one of those, but I also want to make sure I don't, I'm going to skip this one. I really want to make sure I highlight some of these resources and programs. So again, feel free to tell me to go back, but I also really wanted to pull out for DC educators this career coach, because you can go into specific careers, and then if you, here it is, you can sort them by the entry-level education. So that's super helpful. And I pulled out mobile equipment maintenance in particular, but you can go to under browse. If you go to this careers on the top of the page, this is just so clean and easy to follow. And then you can go down to the bottom here, transportation, distribution, and logistics. Hey, that's what we're talking about. So I pulled mobile equipment maintenance, but you can also do transportation operations, warehousing and distribution center, whichever one is kind of your target audience, if you like. And so you can assign, as Stacy's pointing out, you can save things if you have an account, and your students can also save things if they have individual accounts, or you can just kind of show it on the screen to the group as a whole. We did talk about virtual job shadow. highlighted certification for the day. And this is another area where I really encourage you folks to, if you want to pop off mute or if you want to put something in chat about what certifications you're using in the area of infrastructure. But one of the highlighted certifications here is a building maintenance service technician. And I think I already have it up. Here it is. Yeah, so they not only do the certification itself, but they also have some reference manuals. And I think as we've talked throughout the week, almost all of these courses, you have your certification, and then you also have your manual or your handbook or whatever that you can also offer to students that are aligned so that you can give them that practice that looks exactly like what they're going to see on the certificate. And the program who I saw currently using that certificate is So Others Might Eat. And I know we had a couple folks in the healthcare system from some, but if anyone else is here from So Others Might Eat, feel free to say hi. Yay, hi. And if you also, I know some of you are also doing specific job training around specific careers, we would love to hear which certifications, which careers in particular you're working towards or that your program is focused on, if you like. So Others May Eat building trades program focuses on HVAC and building maintenance especially. And we know HVAC is, again, another area where a lot of organizations are updating their systems to be more energy efficient. So this maintenance technician, you may be retrofitting systems, they may be installing new systems, doing checks on the systems. So I know annual maintenance is another big thing. Locally here, one of my favorite HVAC organizations does a really great job of pairing their more experienced workers with their brand new workers. I don't think this is even beyond where they're in a program. They're already certified, but they still make sure that, you know, they're not sending somebody with very little experience out in the field on their own. So a lot of our industry partners are pretty good about continuing that on-the-job training for us.
Hello, Megan.
Hi.
This is Melida.
Yes.
I work in the Green Construction Program in Catholic Charity.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, we focus on other four different certifications, but also we know and we value the green environment, and we need to educate our students in that area too. We know that is our responsibility to show them. As a human being, we everybody need to cooperate in one way or another. So we use your role in the green environment. That is from NCCER book.
Okay.
But because, you know, sometimes we can't cover everything we want to.
Yeah.
But at least we cover some topics like is recycling, how to install raining barrels to collect water, the raining water.
Yes.
And use it and reuse it in the garden, wash your car. And also we invite somebody from Eco Latino, and they give like presentation. Also, we use another book that is called Weatherization, How to Wrap the Envelope.
I want to I want to capture some of these if you don't mind. I know you're kind of listing off a lot of great resources. So you said Echo Latino, is that one?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so I want to pop.
I think they work with the energy Department of Energy, because we doing like field trip, and they can show our students how to install raining barrels and outside in the house.
Yes.
And
That's wonderful. And that's another way they can be saving on utility bills at home, right?
Absolutely. And this book is very good. They show us different seasons and how we can, the statistic, when we spend more money in the air condition, and when we can save more money in the pen of the month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And then you mentioned one or two more organizations. I don't want to skip over those as well. I don't know if you remembered what you said.
No, it's Your Role in the Green Environment is the book we use.
Oh, okay. And you said it was an NCER book?
Yeah, NCCER, yes.
Let's see if that will pop up. There we are.
Yes.
All right, great.
Yeah, that is.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else have some wonderful resources you'd like to share with us that you're using with your students? Somebody popping on?
I don't see anything in chat yet,
Okay.
but we have put in those links that Melita mentioned.
Wonderful.
They were outstanding.
Thank you. And we've talked about most of these on our top picks already, PBS Learning Media, Khan Academy. I did just want to highlight just a couple that we haven't mentioned yet, and I'm going to kind of close some of these so we're a little less cluttered on the page. One is the energy.gov Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy. So that's another wonderful, I love how much public domain activity they have at energy.gov. And another great one is the Science Spot. So this is targeted towards middle school science teachers, but this one in particular is it's very concrete. It's not very kiddie, you know? And so they have a lot of really interesting resources that are also great for our learners. And I think honestly, a lot of materials that are written at that middle school level actually help our students sometimes understand some of those more challenging topics that maybe they may have, missed or not fully absorbed earlier on. And the Science Spot has a connection to Quizlet, which is one of my favorite resources. So again, our quizzes, Quizlet is another one where if you want to put in quizzes, it's a fun one. Okay, I think we've covered these. Awesome. So one other thing I want to point out, if we've had some wonderful links shared in the chat. So as I mentioned before, write them down or email them to yourself, however you take notes, so you don't lose them if you really want to try out something new. TV 411. Michelle is sharing that one. That's a good one. Let me pull that one up as well. Oops. No, where'd it go? I must have the wrong link. Okay. Yeah, I believe this is Kentucky Educational Television developed these. So They have a lot of our ELA, math, science, and finance, and they also have a section on Espanol. And these are great. These videos are so well done. So thank you for that recommendation. If you are looking for just the links, if you go to the one we've been mentioning from the beginning, blog.musc.org, and you find this document on the contextualized lesson plans, and then you go into the table of contents, towards the end, I put in all web links by industry. So you can go into your specific industry, or if you're doing, more broader adult ed and you're just trying to pull from different industries, we have infrastructure here, and then you can just see beep, 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 all the links that we had in that lesson plan. So you can use the template to create your own lesson plan. You can take our lesson plan and modify it to be specific to your context, or you can just pull links out of it from the end here. Either way, we hope that you got something out of the session that you can use right away. Are there any other questions or sharing that you would like to do right now before we wrap up for the morning?
But I see someone is typing, but also feel free to unmute yourself. And while you're doing that and getting some last thoughts together, I am going to put in the chat a link to an evaluation where we would love to hear about what you thought and what you'd like to see more of as well.
Mm-hmm.
Melita, definitely finish your thought. We've got time. You can also unmute yourself. Anyone can unmute themselves and offer any questions, last thoughts.
I know there's sometimes a delay as folks are getting to your buttons.
Melita said, thank you for the great presentation. And thanks to all of you who made it an even greater presentation by adding on. We really appreciate all of those resources. So wonderful to know about what you're using and to share with others in your industry who could use those great resources as well, in addition to all the great ones that ASIA provides and that Megan shared as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate you taking the time. We know that we continue to grow as educators, not only by the practice, but also by this time of sharing and reflection on what we're doing and learning from each other. So thank you so much for taking the time out of your important work to continue to reflect on the important work that you're doing. And we hope to see you again later on in the week. I'll do a quick show the rest of our schedule here. Here we go. So this afternoon, we're going to be doing law and security at 2 p.m. And then tomorrow morning, we end with early childhood education. And this could also be family literacy. If you're doing any of that work, parent education, it'll be what we'll be talking about there will be applicable to that as well. So thank you again so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you, Megan Farrell, for today's session. Thank you, Dr. Bruce and Michelle Johnson, our state director, for coordinating all of these wonderful mini professional development sessions. We look forward to seeing you at 2 o'clock for law and security. And just know that law and security includes things like physical security, security guards, all kinds of things. So we'll see you then. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you, Stacy, for all you do.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.